Episode 5. Our first stolen kiss. It was late, the kind of late when the ship seemed to sleep, though I knew the engines never did. I was carrying empty trays back from the lounge when I saw her slip through the glass doors onto the deck. Alone. I should have kept walking. That would have been the smart thing. But smart has never been stronger than curious. The air outside was sharp, salted, the kind that makes you breathe deeper without knowing why. She leaned against the railing, the sea spread out behind her like black silk, the moon threading silver through the waves. She didn't turn when I stepped out. "You follow instructions badly," she said. "What instructions?" "The one about not talking to guests." She looked at me then, eyes catching the moonlight. "That is the rule, isn't it?" "Maybe," I said, and I don't know where the courage came from, but it was there, standing beside me. "But maybe you're not just a guest." Her laugh was soft, like she was afraid to let it go too loud. "Then what am I?" I wanted to tell her she was everything the world told me I couldn't have, that she was proof that beauty wasn't just something you saw, it was something you felt, like an ache in your ribs. But all I managed was, "You're someone who notices me." She was quiet after that, and the silence filled with the sea's breathing, slow and endless. Then she stepped closer, until I could see the faintest freckle near her lip, until the warmth of her hand rested on the railing just beside mine. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. "I know. And neither should I." We looked at each other then, really looked, like the ship and the sea and the world had shrunk to just the space between us. I felt my heart trying to break out of my chest, not from fear but from something bigger, something reckless. I don't know who moved first. Maybe it was me, maybe it was her. But her lips were on mine, and it was like stepping into fire and water at the same time. Not practiced, not planned, just real. The kind of kiss that makes you believe you've done something holy and unforgivable all at once. Then the footsteps, it was quiet at first. Distant, but enough. She pulled away, eyes wide, breath caught, and for a second I thought she would vanish like smoke. Instead, she pressed a finger to her lips, then to mine. "Tomorrow," she mouthed. And just like that, she was gone, the door closing behind her, leaving me with nothing but the salt on my lips and the knowledge that nothing would ever be the same again. It was supposed to be simple. Just a walk, nothing more. The ship was half asleep, the corridors emptied after dinner, the laughter and music tucked away behind heavy doors. She told me to meet her near the observation deck, a place the guests ignored once the lights dimmed. I got there first. I always did. My heart worked faster when I waited for her, like it knew something my head hadn't learned yet. When she appeared, wrapped in a shawl the color of midnight, she didn't look like the girl from the lounges and dining halls. She looked like someone who could almost belong to me. "You're early," she whispered. "I didn't want to miss you." We walked along the railing, slow, like neither of us wanted to get to the end of it. She asked me about my grandmother, and I told her how she keeps the radio on at night even when it only catches static. She said it sounded lonely. I told her it sounded like company. She smiled at that, soft and secret, the kind of smile that makes you think you've said something wise when really you've only told the truth. I don't remember moving closer, but suddenly our arms were almost touching, our steps in time. I could hear her breath. I could feel the warmth of her shoulder through the thin fabric of my jacket. And then, voices. Not near, but not far either. Male, laughing, too careless to belong to crew. My chest locked. If anyone saw us like this, it wouldn't just be trouble, it would be the end. She froze, eyes wide, the color of fear and something else, defiance maybe. Without thinking, she grabbed my hand and pulled me into the shadows behind one of the lifeboats. My back hit the cold steel, her body pressed close, closer than we had ever dared. "Don't move," she whispered, her breath brushing my cheek. The voices drew nearer, footsteps uneven, the sound of a bottle clinking. My pulse was a drum in my ears. I wanted to shut my eyes but couldn't, not when hers were right there, inches from mine, bright even in the dark. The footsteps passed. The laughter drifted away, swallowed by the night. But she didn't move. Neither did I. The silence wrapped around us again, heavy now, charged. Her hand was still on my chest, and I don't know if she could feel my heart or if she was trying not to. When she finally looked up, I swear the ship itself leaned closer to see what we'd do next. We didn't kiss. Not then. But in that breath, in that nearness, in the way she didn't let go right away, something changed, something irreversible. When she finally stepped back, she smiled, but it was different this time. Not secret. Not soft. More like a promise. Tomorrow, she whispered. And then she was gone, the shadows folding behind her like she'd never been there. But my hand still burned from where she'd held it, and my chest still hammered the memory of her touch long after the night went quiet again. Episode 6: The Kiss of the Millennium. It had to happen. That's the truth I see now. Every step we'd taken since the first wrong turn was leading here, pulling us closer no matter how hard the world tried to push us apart. The night was quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you feel like even the sea is holding its breath. She'd slipped away from the glittering ballroom, her shawl falling from her shoulders as though she was shedding that world piece by piece. I'd been waiting in the shadows by the lifeboats, pulse racing like it had every time since. "You came," I whispered when she reached me. "I always do," she said, and the way she looked at me made my chest tighten. Not like I was a mistake, not like I was a risk, but like I was something she chose. For a moment we just stood there, the ship humming beneath us, the smell of salt sharp in the air. Her hand brushed mine, and that was it, the bowstring snapping. I didn't think. Neither did she. When our mouths met, it wasn't gentle. It wasn't careful. It was everything we'd been holding back bursting at once: hunger, fear, wonder, defiance. The world fell away. No footsteps, no voices, no rules, just her lips against mine, her hands in my hair, my arms around her as though I could keep the sea itself from taking her. I've kissed before. But never like this. Never like my life depended on it. Never like the kiss itself was both a sin and salvation. Her breath trembled against me when we finally broke apart, foreheads pressed together, hearts slamming like fists in our chests. That, she whispered, eyes shining, was impossible. I laughed, shaky and wild. And yet it happened. She kissed me again, slower this time, as if memorizing me, as if the night could end at any moment, and she needed to carry me with her forever. When she pulled back, she didn't let go of my hand. She held it tight, like an anchor, like a promise. And I knew. Right there, on that deck, with the ocean spread out infinite around us, I knew I'd never be the same again. It wasn't just a kiss. It was the kiss. The kiss of the millennium. The one that would ruin me and save me in the same breath. Episode 7. A Midnight Meeting. I don't remember who suggested it first. Maybe her, maybe me. Maybe it wasn't even spoken, just written in the way our hands lingered too long when they brushed. But it became a rhythm. After midnight, when the ship had quieted, we met. The service deck was our place. Not beautiful, steel walls, the smell of oil and salt, but it was ours. No chandeliers, no music. Just space where we could breathe without the eyes of her world pressing down. That night she was already there, sitting on a crate like a queen on a throne she'd stolen. She looked up when she heard me, and the smile that broke across her face made my legs weak. "You're late," she teased. "Marco caught me running plates for the night shift," I said, slipping into the shadows with her. "I told him I had a bad stomach. He told me to keep it away from the soup." She laughed, covering her mouth like she wasn't allowed the sound. I loved that laugh. It wasn't polished or practiced, it was real, like the girl behind the gowns and diamonds had finally escaped. I sat beside her, close enough to feel the warmth of her thigh against mine. We didn't speak for a while. We didn't need to. The hum of the ship wrapped around us, steady and endless, like the sea itself was holding our secret. She reached out and touched my hand. Just that. Fingers against fingers. And in that moment, I felt more alive than I ever had carrying the heaviest crates. "Tell me something you've never told anyone," she whispered. The question caught me. I searched for words, for something honest enough to give her. When I was little, before my parents died, I used to dream they'd come back. I'd leave the window open at night, in case they needed to find me. I don't think I ever stopped, waiting. Her hand tightened on mine. She didn't speak right away. When she did, her voice was soft, breaking. "I dream of running away. Not forever, just long enough to be nobody. Just long enough to breathe." We looked at each other then, the air between us heavy with everything we couldn't say out loud. And then she leaned in, and I kissed her, slower this time, deeper, not like fire but like the sea itself, vast, endless, pulling me under. When we broke apart, her forehead rested against mine, her breath trembling. To be continued in part 4. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe.